Okay, we'll call this council meeting of July 11th to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we are holding this meeting on the unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq. Let's stand for the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Okay, record of attendance, absent with regrets. We have a motion to excuse Councillor Lesser, please. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Any declarations of conflict of interest? And you can certainly declare at the time of the agenda item. Good. Okay, approval of agenda. The recommended motion is that we approve it as circulated. Okay, Councillor Heather, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Approval of minutes, Town Council, June 13th. Councillor Cleveland, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Committee of the Whole, June 26th. Councillor Cleveland, second by Councillor Bell. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, we're at public hearing now. And what happens here is I'll read each one separately, and I will ask if anybody in the audience wants to speak to the agenda item. And if they do, if anybody here wants to speak to either one, you can come up to the microphone here, let us know who you are and where you live, and share whatever thoughts you want to share with us. Council doesn't make the decision then, we just make it later in the agenda, but it comes up right on the agenda after. So I will ask regarding 468 Main Street Development Agreement. The motion there is to enter into a development agreement, attachment 1, with the owner of 468 Main Street, PID 901-95967, to allow for 3 short-term rental units. Would anyone like to speak to this? Anyone want to speak to this one? And I'll ask one more time. Would anyone like to speak to the 468 Main issue? Okay, hearing no one, we will go on to the next one, which is 9B, 5 Adelaide Street. Proposed amendment to the municipal planning strategy to change the land use classification of 5 Adelaide Street, PID number 902-13034, from residential to secondary commercial, attachment 3. Don't know what we had for attachment 2. And proposed amendment to the land use bylaw to rezone 5 Adelaide Street, PID 902-13034, from low-density residential R1 zone to secondary commercial C3 zone, attachment 4, and enter into a development agreement, attachment 1, with the owner of 5 Adelaide Street to accommodate a new accessory building. Would anyone like to speak to this? Okay, second time. Anyone here want to speak to this issue? And a third time. Anyone like to speak to 5 Adelaide? Okay, hearing no one, we'll move on to, we're going to close that public hearing. She's closed. Just like that. Business arising, number 10A. So we'll go back to what was in the public hearing. And the same thing, 468 Main Street, that council approve second reading to enter into development agreement with the owner of 468 Main Street, bid 901-95967, to allow for 3 short-term rental units. Looking for that motion. Okay, Deputy Mayor, second by? Okay, second by Councillor Cleveland. Go ahead, Councillor Heather.
Thank you. Yeah, looking at this, my only concern, and fairly major concern, is the parking in that area. There's already congestion in that area, and they're suggesting that one of those units, the parking would be on the street. And so I don't know if they're planning on putting a restaurant in the underneath that would contribute to parking issues. So I guess that's my big thing. And also I went down and looked at the parking space. They're suggesting that one car could park in the garage and one in the driveway. The garage door there is not a standard height door. It's very low. I don't know that all vehicles could get into that garage. So I just have concerns around parking.
Thank you. Anyone else? We good? Okay. Do I want to address, did you want to talk more about that, or are you okay with a vote? Like, I just remember we had some up the street here, I want to say Collins Street or whatever it was, and the same thing, like they will have to find their parking as a Airbnb.
So, but will it be on the street, I guess, because in the recommendation from staff, it did say that was my understanding, that it would be on the street, and that area with the Blueberry Cafe is already a congested area. So I just had concerns about that. Are we adding to that congestion?
Okay, so it might be 1 extra or 2 extra, you're saying. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just, I did raise that issue with the planner at the PAC, at the Public Planning Advisory Committee, the same issue with regards to the parking, and he assured us that it wasn't necessarily going to mean that there's going to be extra vehicles there, because some people, they're on the bus route or they could walk, but there's also an opportunity to pay the town in lieu of parking, can pay for the town in lieu of parking spaces. So he didn't seem to be concerned at all with the parking issue.
Just a question to Councillor Dares, would that pay for parking spaces, is that on the street, or would that be in a parking space within the town?
I'll let the CAO answer that, but I think it's just in part, you're paying for the fact that there isn't any parking.
Yeah, they may park on the street, they may park in a public parking lot. His customers, we know from the restaurant, that around the meal times on that part of Main Street, there are a couple of restaurants, and they're fairly popular. That results in some parking on the street. The Airbnbs, which is what they're applying for here, would be overnight parking, presumably. They may park in the street. There's a time of year when we don't allow on-street parking overnight. Again, this is a business decision. They know the lay of the land, and they'll have to make they'll have to make some decisions. The amount of money that they pay the town in lieu of not having on-site parking goes into reserve, I guess. Goes to pay for the public parking lots that we do own and maintain. So, and we've talked about this just a few years ago. I remember we were asked to contact Nova Scotia Power to see about the lot they have. Let's say it's on King Street, maybe, where there used to be a power infrastructure, and they weren't interested in selling or allowing us to use it for a public parking lot. But that's something that we can continue to keep our eyes open for. Is there if and when there's an opportunity to create off-street parking in that area if it continues to attract businesses that do well.
Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, I mean, council in its wisdom extended the commercial area on Main Street beyond the traditional boundaries, and it was done in recognition that, you know, we need to loosen the regulatory constraints that are on businesses and encourage development. And I think adding on to that piece, so this is consistent with that direction, I think. And, you know, cash in lieu of parking has been a constant in the downtown, at least as long as there's been planning, I think, because there's a recognition that the downtown core is very densely built. And so parking is sometimes going to be an issue. So I think those were the things that the Planning Committee considered in making the recommendation. And I'm comfortable with it. I also recognize that we are slowly, very slowly, moving to a, post automobile society, and little steps will get us there. And we can't wait until we're all ready to, hire a ride share every time we want to move somewhere. We have to take little steps. So I'm comfortable with the decision.
Okay. Anyone else? Good. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay. So the business on 5 Adelaide Street, and again, that council approves second reading of the proposed amendment to the MPS to change the land use classification of 5 Adelaide Street, PID 902-13034, from residential to secondary commercial. Second reading of the proposed amendment to the land use bylaw to rezone 5 Adelaide Street from low-density residential to secondary commercial zone, and in principle, and enter into a development agreement with the owner of 5 Adelaide Street to accommodate a new accessory building. Okay?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Now what happens next? Does that have to go somewhere to Halifax?
Yeah, has to go to Halifax.
Okay, just so we can hear.
Yeah, I believe there's an appeal period, has to go to Halifax for provincial sign-off. Usually, they don't have an issue as long as it doesn't conflict with the provincial statement of interest.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
so you know. Okay, good. All right. 11, Facade Society, the recommended motion, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to make to make a motion that the Facade Society have the authority to fully fund murals, to increase the facade rebate from a maximum of $5,000 to a maximum of $10,000, adjust the mural and facade zones to have matching boundaries, which are North Vancouver Street, East Main Street, West Water Street, South Argyle Street, and 4, to create an allowance for upkeep and repairs of existing murals of $500 each.
What was east?
What was east? East Main? So, East Main, so North Vancouver, East Main Street, which would be the
Oh, I see.
West Water Street,
Yeah, gotcha.
South Argyle.
Okay, I was,
Same boundaries
I was
as the
thinking
facades, as
yeah,
the facade
gotcha.
program.
Okay,
Yeah. And I would make that a motion.
okay. So moved and seconded. That's different from what's on here. Just with the added, because you're on that, or you understand better than
Well, this was what was presented to the committee of the whole,
Yes.
and what Mohammed spoke to when he spoke with us at the committee of the whole. So it's in the report.
Yeah.
And it's what he spoke to us about, so, yeah.
Okay.
So those are the recommendations.
All right. Deputy?
I just think anyone who's been to our town in the last few years and seen the difference that these programs make, it's great to be able to see that they want to extend it and to be able to upkeep the great work that already been done. So very happy to support this one.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of the facade program. And I think the program is now 10 years old. And the budget has not increased in that period of time. And we all know that the prices have gone up on everything else. But we also have seen the results of the facade program and the mural program. And so I'm more than happy to support this motion.
I think, did you need to?
I think it was seconded.
Yeah, it was. Your light's on, so I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else. The facade program is, it's nothing short of amazing. It's changed everything, and I've often joked, when people say, like, the mayor thinks paint will fix everything, but it just created an environment where businesses wanted to come in, they felt safe, they felt welcomed. The committee has just, we've been hands-off, but the committee has just done a wonderful job. The downtown's vibrant with businesses, and it is Vancouver to Argyle. Like the business that's happening in there is off the charts. And the murals. Did you mention the match for the murals? The extra 500? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I fully support this. Go ahead.
Just one final comment in that on the corner of Vancouver of Main Street and Chestnut Street is the Professional Center, which has been nondescript for 25 years. And it's presently being painted. And it's absolutely popping. It's going to have such a street presence. And that's directly attributed to the investment of the owner, the new owner, but also the support from the Facade Society. So it'll make a huge difference.
It makes a difference. Get some more murals up on some of those. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, Council Advisory, Committee of the Whole. Councillor Cleveland, do you want to take that?
Sure, thank you. Let's begin with the South End Playground Report. The recommended motion that council directs staff to prioritize the South Main Street Playground Report and designate up to $80,000 from Open Spaces Fund to implement improvements as soon as possible.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead, Deputy.
Very happy to see this one down there on Canada Day and a bunch of chairs out and whatnot. It'd be nice to have picnic tables. As we all know, the destruction and the deterioration over the years, and I just think it's time, and I'm glad to see that it says as soon as possible here. The only thing that I'd like to add is if there was some kind of engagement with the youth that kind of use it, I think Parents' Place could be something that could facilitate that, but just kind of that they have their own say and kind of maybe what they want to see there, but very happy to support this one.
Good stuff. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion that council request a report from the Traffic Authority on installing a Pride crosswalk within the town.
Moved and second. Any discussion? I'm still where I was last time, so, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Me? Okay.
Recommended motion that council support the application for the Argyle Street Sewer Capacity Upgrades Design Project for funding consideration under the PCAP, the PCAP.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion that council refer the installation of lighting at the Main and Porter crosswalk to the Traffic Authority.
We got a seconder? Okay. Councillor Bell? Okay. I have to say this about that. Nobody laugh. I was thinking across Porter Street from the apartment building. I wasn't thinking across Main Street. Remember at the committee of the whole, I said, I don't understand. I didn't,
Oh, you're kidding.
seriously.
Oh,
See,
okay.
I told you not to laugh and you did.
Sorry.
That's okay. But I just wanted to clarify that because once I got home, I said, they're not talking about crossing Porter, they're talking about crossing Main because I couldn't wrap my head around Main and Porter. There you go. Anyway, so I'm good with this one. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
All right. Recommended motion that council send a letter to the NSFM requesting a specific financial information on the 12-month notice from the province.
Moved and seconded. So we did this because it came from NSFM, right? Yes. Okay. Because all right. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Citizen Advisory Committees, Planning Advisory, Councillor Cleveland.
Still me, yeah. Recommended motion that council pass first reading to the proposed amending development agreement for 120 Stars Road.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Oh, Communities in Bloom. Go ahead, Councillor.
So the recommended motion is the council pass, the council appoint Monica Brennan to the Communities in Bloom Committee. And I realize that this is a little out of the ordinary practice in that we normally advertise for committee members. It's been my experience being on the CIB committee for a number of years that it's kind of a unique committee. In fact, can't imagine what kind of a matrix we could come up with that would designate who we want on that committee. I think the only criteria is an interest in seeing the town improved in all aspects. And Monica Brennan is very well known. It was unanimous at the meeting. She approached the committee looking for appointment. The committee members were unanimous in their support to recommend to council that she be appointed to the committee. I don't believe that there's an identified limit on for a number of committee members on that particular committee, and certainly they can accommodate somebody of her caliber. So I know that it's a different situation. It's a little bit unique, but she's expressed an interest, and the committee members were fully supportive of having her at the table.
Okay, so the only question is are we permitted to do that? Yep. Okay, all right. Any discussion? Oh, we need a motion. You did the motion, and it's been seconded. Go ahead, Councillor.
I just think a lot of great volunteers put in a lot of work to make our town look beautiful, and if we can add someone else to that group, I think that's a great thing. So a big thank you to those who put in those hours on their own time, and glad to see another great addition.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Waterfront Advisory Committee. Okay, so this first motion, these are a little mixed up. I feel like they're a little mixed up. The council sent a letter to the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission requesting they consider inviting food vendors to use the location formerly occupied by the Red Shed. There's already somebody there where the Red Shed was. That's what I was, yeah, somebody asked me that question. So what do we do with this? Okay. Okay. Anybody want to make that motion? That's what I thought. Thank you. Okay. Infrastructure project on Vancouver Street that council directs staff to investigate funding for the seawall. Now, the question was that from Vancouver Street, or was that the seawall behind the building?
That's seawall.
Okay. I thought we already did that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just can we get a little bit more information on the description of the seawall location and the extent of the seawall? And
I thought we already asked this.
Sure, the seawall is one of the many projects identified in the waterfront action plan, and it is intended to provide some level of sea protection for the lowest lying parts of Water Street up beyond the former Dominion Textiles mill. There's a area up there that floods regularly during really high tides. So it would extend up as far as Vancouver Street in order to fulfill the role. Like, it's not much sense in having a seawall that ends and then water can go around it, kind of thing. So that was the idea. And so there may be climate change funds that would be available. The other part of the seawall was, it was envisioned to be wide enough that you could actually have a walking trail along the top of it. So kind of a neat vantage point for people who walk our waterfront.
So right now, we don't have a connectivity with a sidewalk really from, right, exactly. So that was a thought too. Deputy?
Just kind of a technology request that we could make a link or a post to the actual plan. So if citizens kind of want to read it and see where this all came from, just so they know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the Waterfront Action Plan, when was that commissioned and completed? Well, around when? I guess, so I'll preface the question, or I'll frame the question by asking about the latest information we have with regard to how best to manage seawater incursion, and about hard abutments as opposed to soft, and just whether that was taken into consideration when these recommendations for the seawall were made. And I'm assuming that they were. I'm wondering when the work was done, and if thinking has changed since then about how to best mitigate.
Okay, so the plan was 2018. Thank you for asking the question, or explaining it so I could have a minute to click a couple links. So 2018 was the plan, and I seriously doubt that current thinking around shore protection and sea level rise, I think it's evolved quite a bit in the last 5 or 6 years. In fact, in the last couple of years. So it was conceptual, right? The plan doesn't get into any details around any of the suggested projects. It's like, here's a good idea and here's an opportunity, have a look at it. And so I think if we are able to find any funding that seems to align, the first step would be to really give that a hard look. Is this the right sort of infrastructure? Is this the right approach in that area?
Okay. Are we good? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And that council send a letter to the Yarmouth and Area Industrial Commission requesting they seek funding for the wharves. Now this is, we have another committee coming up. Because I'm going to ask you the question.
All right. Go ahead.
Are we just going to pass this on to the Industrial Commission and they're going to pass it on to the new committee? Is that the idea?
I think that's effectively what will happen, although I think, if I'm remembering back to the waterfront meeting, I think it was the concern about the importance of those wharves on our waterfront and the fact that we don't own them alone. The committee just wanted to throw its weight and its voice behind the fact that we need to find funding for those wharves to improve them, maintain them.
All right, fair enough.
So I think that may get passed on to another board,
That's
but
okay.
at least the voice of the town will be on record.
All right, can I have that motion then? I should get a motion on the floor and seconded. Go ahead.
So we're making a motion to forward this to the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would make that motion, and then I'd like to speak to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. So I just wanted to point out that the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission has commissioned and completed a report on the economic impact of the waterfront, of the port, of the wharfs and the port. And just some of the snapshots from that economic impact study, and I'm pulling this from my memory, but I think it was something along the lines of $52 million worth of seafood comes over that wharf every year. So, I think there are 45 fishing operations that are operating out of those wharves. And that just begins to scratch the surface of what the economic impact is and the multiplier effects in this community and beyond. And perhaps one of the most important things to consider is that there is nowhere else for these enterprises to go. If the wharves in Yarmouth fail, they cannot go to Dennis Point, they cannot go to Meteghan, there is no room. So, yes, the economic development, the economic impact study has been done, and we are hoping that that study will help to create a sense of urgency on departments going forward to recognize that we can't do this alone. We need other levels of government to step in and protect this economic resource. So just wanted to bring you up to date on that the Industrial Commission is doing that work and recognizes the importance of the wharfs to the community, and not just the town for sure, but the whole region. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, anyone else? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, questions for committee chairs. Is there, anyone have any questions or anyone want to share anything? Go ahead, Councillor Dares.
Yeah, a couple of things I'd like to share. Firstly, I had circulated to council members during the last committee of the whole meeting, the annual report from the Western Region Enterprise Network. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things in there. They are on year 2 of a 3-year strategy of investment, and the overall year-end results for this is that they've reached 10 of 13 targets. And those targets were increasing investment in private sector, increasing investment in public sector, and addressing talent needs. And 77% sounds like a great pass mark, but I just want you to know that they don't, the other 23% are still active. It's just that they won't record it as 100% until they've achieved that. One of the other successes I think that they've had is in the continuous improvement program. And basically the bulk of the funding from that is coming from ACOA. It's changing the culture in the workplace, and I know that it's been very, very effective at the solid waste park, as well as at the Yarmouth Regional Hospital. There's been other initiatives, certainly, and there's a whole list of goals addressing talent needs in the future. I could just say that I attended the AGM, and all the reports were very positive, and I think we're in good hands. And this is the 10-year anniversary, of course, of the REN, and it's receiving very strong support from the province. So it's all good news.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'll answer any questions, but I just wanted to move on to the airport if I could. Just to let you know that
Do you have a question on the REN? Oh, okay, go
sorry.
ahead.
I feel like I'm echoing Councillor Bell Hatfield's comments in regards to the wharfs, because we're in the exact same situation at the airport. Of course, we need the senior levels of government to recognize the importance of the airport and the necessity for investment on their part. We're cautiously optimistic that may happen in the future because of the work that's being done. Just this past, the last couple of days, we've engaged CanMac as consulting to do a kind of an economic snapshot of what the airport provides now and what it could provide in the future. And the reason that the contract went to them is that they're doing it for 8 or 9 other airports in the province as well. So they've got the process down pat, and we should be hearing from them hopefully before the fall. We are also in good hands, I believe. We've been having One of the serious issues is the fact, of course, that prior to the divestiture of the airport years ago, there were firefighting efforts, not practices taken there, and there was ground contamination. But I can assure you that we're in the best of hands. We've got really good legal counsel who is working very hard on our behalf, and once again, cautiously optimistic that that's going to be a positive outcome for the airport. So things are moving along pretty good. As far as the task force is going, we're meeting again next week. The Bren is undertaking a population survey or population just to see where we're at as compared to years ago and what the population changes have been. All of that information is going to be really, really convenient for us to have when we finally have to put together a package to take to the other levels of government. But it's feeling good about it. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy.
I just want to say a big thank you to council. On Canada Day, we served close to 200 breakfasts, got them out to the community, pancakes and sausages, a lot of happy faces that day, and a lot of great feedback. It's always nice to get out into the community and do that type of thing. So just wanted to say thank you to council for doing that, and we always look forward to that annually to make sure we provide for the community.
Anyone else? We've got a lot coming up in July and a lot in August. So we've got CFest coming up. The car show is coming up. The place is going to be packed with people. But I think the one thing I wanted to mention is the Acadian Congress, the Congrès Mondial Acadien. And I think everybody in the area doesn't quite understand what's going to happen in August. I think it's from the 10th to the 18th, 9 days of basically celebrating Acadians, and there will be people from all over the globe in Yarmouth. The last number I heard was 40,000. That's a lot of people, and there will be everything. I mean, music and plays and food and parades and everything else over the entire region, from Clare to Argyle region and in between. I know the town is doing some things. We're actually hosting the, what's it called, the Tintermare, and that's going to be a huge parade and exciting, and it's going to be packed. So I guess I'm just saying a heads up to folks that when 40,000 people kind of land in your region, everything's booked solid, and it has been, I say for months, but maybe up to a year. It's going to be busy. The hope is that, you know, the restaurants are open, the shops are open. You know, we're all being ourselves because we're just great at hosting, and the town will look great. We know that. The other piece I would mention is that they're always looking for volunteers, and you do not, it's an Acadian Congress, but you don't have to speak French. There are many positions that you can go in, you know, you could do every day, or you could just go in and volunteer for a couple hours, but you can speak English. You probably don't have to speak much at all at some of these things. Just take care of a little bit of business. So you can go to cma2024.ca. I didn't write it down, but I think that's it. And take a peek there. Just look it up, and if you can find that volunteer button, by all means hit it and see if there's something you can volunteer for. Everything's going to be, the whole region. So whether you want to volunteer in town or the Argyle region, Clare, anywhere in between, you're good to go. But we're really excited for this. It's a big deal. So I want to thank everyone that put that together and made it happen. We're really excited, really excited.
Can I just make
Yes,
one comment on that?
absolutely.
Has anybody heard anyone speak of any newcomers to our community say, well, we came in, we visited, and we fell in love with it, so we decided to move here, right? This is the opportunity to meet our next new citizens, right? The people who come to visit for this event are going to see us at our best and get to visit the entire region, and some of them undoubtedly will make a decision to come make this home. So looking forward to it, and there is a booth that we have at Mariner Center during the trade show, and there is opportunity to volunteer there. And I think you all are great ambassadors for the community, and if you have time in your schedule to be present, to have a seat and converse with the visitors that are coming through who might want to know more about what's to do in the area. They may have questions about real estate or places to buy and maybe relocate. So keep that in mind, and there is an opportunity there for you as ambassadors.
We had, speaking of ambassadors, we had the ladies out for the mayor's tea in front of Town Hall today. And you can't get past those women unless you eat something. They've got cookies, and they had brown bread and biscuits and everything else, and they just get the people that are walking by, and we had pins out there to, but anyway, we always just ask, I can't help myself, are you from here? There was kids and grandparents and parents and everybody. So we had tons of people from all parts of Nova Scotia, the Atlantic provinces, talked to someone from Quebec, a few from Ontario, and this, I didn't realize it was a real place, but we had somebody from Tipperary. I said, you're a long way from home. It was Sinead Russell's brother, actually. So they're here with the family. They're loving it. They're enjoying it. But it's as the CAO said, people come here and they just can't believe it. Last week, I took our new doctor residents. I think there were 6 or 7 of them. I always take them out for lunch when a new batch comes in if they have any questions, and so that they understand we are all wide open for phone calls or conversations, whatever they want. And I remember a couple of them basically said, well, they told us that as doctors we were moving to a small town. But this isn't a small town. You have everything here, and the people are friendly, and the food's good, and there's, somebody said, and there's people like us here. So it matters. Like it matters. The more people that come, the more that are attracted here. So it was really exciting to see and hear from everybody. This week has been a crazy week with different people. Go ahead, Deputy.
Kind of a side note, but on Saturday in Shelburne from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., there's a counselor school for any potential candidates who are thinking about running in the upcoming October election. It's just an overview of what to expect, how to run a good campaign, just some insight into doing things. I know I certainly would have been happy to have taken that day prior to running. Happy to say I've been asked to sit on a panel for about an hour, open mic, just about a day in a life with counselors. So looking forward to that, but just if anyone's out there and thinking about attending, you can sign up online. The town's Facebook page has the link there, and hoping to see a lot of faces out, and hoping it's a great day.
Good stuff. It will be a fun day. Go ahead.
Hey, what the heck? Lots of things go on here that creates vitality, and you guys have covered a whole lot of it, but it's worth mentioning a couple of other things, because we're already in almost mid-July. It's kind of hard to imagine, but we're here. First off, a big congratulations to those who are working so hard to create the Friday gathering down on the wharf, which is really nice to see. Anything like that is wonderful to see, and we should all kind of jump up and down with joy to see people taking the initiative to make those kind of things happen. You mentioned in passing CFest, but CFest, of course, is one of our major ones, and I wanted to mention the Classic Car Show, which is going to happen, as far as I know anyway. It's going to be happening in July on the 20th, I believe the date is, and of course CFest happens, I'm just quickly grabbed it together to get the dates right, but it runs from the 18th through the 27th, and a big thank you again, and we can never say enough about the volunteers that make things in this area happen, because those volunteers are the lifeblood of our region and our community, and CFest, like anything else, would never happen without those volunteers, so thank you. It's also worth mentioning that Switch is coming back again. Now, on the final Sunday in July and in August, and this has been happening over the last few years, we have Switch Open Street on Main Street. It's happening on the 28th of July, Sunday 28th of July, and Sunday, August 25th. And so those are happening, and we'd love to, of course, weather permitting, because you can never tell, but we'd love to have people come out and make these things happen because it's great for our locals, it's great for our region, and it is great for our tourists who come and look to see what's around. There's plenty around and plenty to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We're good? Okay, approval of invoices, that various invoices be approved for payment. Deputy, Councillor Dares, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. The date of the next meeting is August the 8th. Everybody good? And we do have in camera. So a motion to go in camera. Thank you.